to baby cuddles. They make me happy when skies are gray. And skies have been very gray for well over a week now. Sometimes life collides at you in a tsunami, a perfect storm of physical, mental, emotional, financial, psychological stress. And normally I'm really proud of my ability to not necessarily overcome, but, square my shoulders and hold my head up high and grip my chin and get through it all. And last Saturday/Sunday, I let it take over, and it turned into a real disaster and some illnesses which I had to call out for. And then my car broke down, and just stuff that really is not new. It's what I always deal with, really. But generally, I try to keep a better emotional footing with everything. I mean, is this vague enough? Honestly, I know you guys just want me to say, like, what's going on? But it's not all that important. It's like, basically, I want to decide if I'm staying in my job or not, because I'm a very, very hard worker. I'm very proud of the work I do, but I feel unappreciated, definitely underpaid, burned out, and really, really, really annoyed, frustrated, saddened, insulted, and completely fed up with some of the things going on, which I've alluded to in the past, but not in detail, because, frankly, I have too much class for that. But if the shit continues to hit the fan, I'm going to be telling all, because this is my channel, my life, my story, my journey, even though I hate that word, as you guys know. And some stuff's been going on that's worse than ever and very, very unfair. And as far as financially, I mean, I'm used to being broke. I'm used to being the working poor. I'm used to barely getting by, even working 55 plus hours a week. I have a lot of debt, a lot of co-pays, a lot of doctor visits, high rent, cable, electric, cell phone, insurance, all the usual bills, but I don't make enough money. And when I get behind by even a week, everything just turns to shit, because I don't like being late. I don't like defaulting on anything. I certainly don't like being in collections, which I'm not right now. But my next pay period is going to be dismal, and I'm going to have to go without a lot of things and cut my budget even more than it is. And I'm just sick of it. Like, I know it's not an age thing, because it sucks to be broke whether you're 18, 19, 20, or 52, almost 53, like your friend here. But, my car keeps shitting the bed, and it happened again this week, along with everything else. So I missed like 9 or 10 days of work because of hurting my leg, and just emotionally being really, really burned out. I'm not going to say nervous breakdown, because everyone has a wrong idea, I think, or a stigma attached to what that is. But just completely unable to effectively function. So I took some time off, which I don't get paid for, which I just think sucks. And it makes me really mad at kind of society, too, that not everybody gets the same break in life. I can't even afford to drive a decent car. Certainly never take a vacation. Can't even afford a day off, and like haven't even bought groceries in a month, because every dime I make goes to the aforementioned bills. And so it makes me feel like a loser and a failure, and I tend to get depressed anyway. during the time around my birthday, because I just feel like, wow, another year older and I've got nothing to show for my life as far as accomplishments, career, success, a stable relationship. Um, Definitely have two amazing kids and two beyond beautiful grandkids, and so those are blessings. I don't see them as accomplishments really. I see them as fortunate occurrences in my life that I took part in. But I'm not one of these women that says, I made those children. They're great because of me. I don't do that. I think they're great despite me. And I'm proud of them for it. Um, I enjoyed the grandkids so much during Easter yesterday. Um, my ex made a beautiful lasagna with sausage and a roasted butterflied leg of lamb. I did most of the appetizers, and there was cake and coffee and dessert and chocolates, and I feel like I gained about 90 pounds. Um, I weighed myself at his house, and it was different from my house, which was different from the recent doctor visit. I don't really know what I weigh. I know I just feel really, really bloated and gross, which I also feel really bad about because I want it to be a certain weight by my birthday, or at least continuing to lose weight. So, um, yeah, I just felt like talking and not showing my face, just showing the kitties because it's so sweet and gentle. And my recent anxiety has caused me to like bite down all my nails, chip off all my nail polish. I pick at my cuticles, like I cannibalize myself. It's not quite a form of cutting, but it's like self mutilation. And it's just that kind of I don't give a shititis. It's addictive thinking. It's the mind of an alcoholic and someone who is borderline and bipolar and sees everything as very catastrophic and black and white. And this still is kind of vague. It's not like a direct description of what's going on. It was just a very, very bad week. And the main thing is like wondering if I'm going to be renewing my lease here this fall to be a fourth year at the cottage. Um, I'm really struggling with living alone. There's times I like it. There's times it's very, very peaceful. I like being able to have the kitties here and be around my books and music and do what I want to do. I am independent, but I also kind of can't stand the sound of my own thoughts and the voice inside my head, and I'm not social enough. I don't get out enough. I don't do enough. Um, I plan a lot of things, and I'll sometimes even buy tickets and, spend money on things, but sometimes at the last minute, my anxiety gets the best of me, or my incredibly low self-esteem, and I wind up flaking out even on myself, even when I'm going to do something alone. Um, so I said all that to basically say that my option is to keep living in poverty and worrying myself sick, literally, over never being able to afford my life here on my own, or go back and live with my husband. Um, I won't say ex because, I mean, he's not. He is my husband. We're legally married, but husband implies that you're living under the same roof for the most part, for most normal people. And we have not lived together for like 5 years now. And much, much longer than that if you look over the collective time since we've been married, to the first separation, to the time I came back 5 years later, and back and forth so many times it's almost embarrassing. Like it's actually foolish. When you think about how many times I've left that house, moved out, moved back, moved out, moved back, and it leads me to believe it's not bound for success if it never succeeds. Um, but I also know it's extremely difficult to get a divorce. There's a lot involved with it, a lot of legalities and division of possessions and financial settlements, and I just can't fathom that stress right now. So we do talk about getting back together just to be under the same roof and pool our resources and sort of keep each other company and on track and for money. I mean, I hate to sound so mercenary, but it's cheaper to live together. Um, all things considered, he definitely has a better house than me. It's still very, very modest. It's small, but he's got a great big yard, and you know, it's a more modern house. And my place is really tiny. It's quaint, but it's really tiny, and I'm kind of sick of living like I'm camping. Um, I'm not one for a lot of creature comforts. I'm not a high maintenance woman at all. I mean, like, yeah, I like nice clothes and I like, perfume and jewelry and all that, but I don't think about like upgrades of things or new fancy phones or gadgets. My computer's falling apart, the screen's cracked, my phone's cracked. Um, my car is a piece of shit, 16 years old with high mileage, and it's not even comfortable for me at all. Um, and I just thought that if I moved back in with him, I could get a job there and put more money into my bills and debt than worrying about rent and service bills and cable and electric and the overhead of living alone here in New York with what I make is ridiculous. Like it's literally insane. I'd have to work about 100 hours a week to even put a dent in my debt. Um, I'm probably about 20 grand in debt because I've had to live on credit cards for all the times in my life when I didn't have a job or was between jobs or had even crappier jobs than this one. And what's really disheartening, guys, is that it's not that obviously people work for money, right? But you also work to contribute to like society and being part of like a bigger picture of things, and it's kind of how society functions, and what you do for a living does say a lot about who and what you are. And I just think it's really unfair that people aren't compensated for what they do, and that right now in my neck of the woods, um, people always denigrate hamburger flippers. If you work at fast food, it's like, oh my God, you're a burger flipper. And I think it's just kind of gross that if I worked at McDonald's, and I'm not saying I'm going to, although I'm not too good for it, certainly, a job's a job, but I'd make like $4 an hour more than I make now. I'm making so under what I should be making for the amount of work I do with, very specially, uniquely challenged adults. My work is physical and emotional and draining and nonstop, and I give everything of myself. And not only am I not paid well, I'm often not respected at all. I'm undervalued, underpaid, underappreciated, kind of jerked around, and really ready to call it quits. And at this point, I don't care who's listening to this because I don't really think anybody's worried about it. I think I'm very disposable and expendable, even though I know my work ethic. I absolutely know I go very far above and beyond what most people do there. And man, did I hit a wall emotionally about it this time. Like sometimes I gripe and grouse about it, and then I, have a few cigarettes and go for a walk or buy something and kind of shake it off and think of something more positive. But this time it was like, no fucking way. No way is this happening to me, where I'm being scapegoated and played with mentally and emotionally, and like just these fucking games. I can't, you know, at my age, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to do battle with people that think they're better than me and they're not. They're not even my intellectual equal, and I don't care how that sounds. People think that I'm not smart because I have a low paying job. My fucking IQ has been tested, okay? I don't tell anyone the number because it sounds like I'm bragging, but like I'm smart and I'm a writer, and I've had a lot of recognition and acclaim actually. I've been too lazy to get anything published, but I've had all kinds of offers for manuscript, screenplay, poetry. Definitely memoir, but it takes a lot of time, patience, resources, um, connections. There's a lot to it. People think like, oh, just self-publish on Amazon, nothing to it. Well, try that and then tell me, you know. And if anything, I'm overqualified for the job, and I don't care how that sounds either. You guys are messing up my sheets. Oh my God, I missed them when I was away for a couple days. So anyway, it was a nice Easter. The babies are healthy and well. That's the most important thing in my life at the end of it all. Not this job. Jobs come and go, and even relationships come and go. But if this can be a port in a storm for me, I mean, I've got a couple of months to decide. And I might change my mind because I do tend to flip-flop emotionally based on where I'm at with my bipolar cycles and all that. I made an appointment with a therapist and a psychiatrist, but that's not until June. And May's going to be a busy month. May's an emotional month for me because I'm not a big fan of turning older, but I always go through a real crisis on my birthday, which is May 5th. But May 10th is also my brother's birthday, and May 1st is my mother's birthday. And I have no relationship with either of them whatsoever. And then Mother's Day is thrown into there, which is odd because, my daughter can celebrate me, I celebrate her, she's a mother, I'm a mother, but I don't celebrate my mother. And you guys pretty much know why. So it's melancholy, But I'm supposed to be seeing the poet Andrea Gibson on May 4th. So I have off that whole weekend. I'm hoping that maybe somebody does something for me on the 5th. It's not a hint. I'm just saying, like, I hope that my ex, gets me something, or my daughter invites me over because it's on a Sunday anyway. Every single year since I've been a kid, I've been disappointed on my birthday. I always expect that someone's going to do something special, or I'm going to feel special, but, that's an inside job. And nobody should have to really require anything for that to happen. Because, I know that growing older is a blessing denied to many. It was denied to my father, who died at 38. And so to me, have made it to 53 with the lifestyle I've lived, and the chances I've taken and the risks, and, it is kind of a miracle. And, just to have the day off will be nice. But hopefully I'll go to Connecticut and see them. And my ex has always been the type that thinks, like, you don't need a cake when you're not a child anymore. And I'm like, fuck that noise. Everybody needs a cake. And a big fat chocolate one at that, So this is very, very, very rambly. I dragged my cats into all my drama. But that's okay. You guys get to see this cuteness. Tomorrow I might get my nails fixed. I don't know. I've got like $50 on me to last another week. But I want to see about opening the P.O. box so I can start getting and receiving letters, because that's always meant a lot to me in my life. There's nothing like the fastness of connecting this way, or texts, or other, forms of social media. But there's also a real charm to writing a letter. I love doing it. I've always loved doing it. So I'd like to bring that back into play. And if you guys could send me a birthday card, I'd also love it. I won't lie. And that's kind of about it. I took my muscle relaxer for my neck aches. It's not a narcotic. It's not an opiate, so relax. It's called tizanidine. It's a skeletal muscle relaxant, I think, or like a nerve relaxant. And it's helping with my chronic pain. I got my CBD oil and all the other things my doctor recommended I can't even afford. So it just sucks. It sucks to be trying to address my long-term chronic health issues, including mental ones, and all of these meds are just so expensive, and the co-pays are so expensive, even though I have insurance. again, with what I earn, and this isn't even with buying groceries, this is just like maintaining my car and insurance and putting gas in it and buying cat litter and cat food and parakeet food and fucking laundromat up the ass. And um, I'm just so sick of how expensive life is. You know, I never get a vacation. I never go anywhere. Um, like right now, I couldn't even take a friend out to dinner. You know, I don't really have many friends, but I recently spent a couple days with my friend Steve, so that was nice. He's such a kind man, eccentric as hell, and we always get on each other's nerves after a few days, but I never know anymore if that's me or the other person. I guess the common denominator in all this nonsense is me, and I have to look at that. Um, change. I can't expect change to happen outside of me until I'm ready to change what's in me. And, yeah, so I'll try to get a few things done tomorrow. A little bit of laundry. I really want to sweep and wash my kitchen floor. I want to vacuum. I want to change the cat box. Like I said, I might get a cheap manicure and look into how much it would cost to get the P.O. box. I think if I got a really small one for half a year, it's like $33. And it's 60 for the bigger one. Um, I don't know. We'll see. I'm getting tired. I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit more in depth with you guys about what's been happening with me for a week and why I stayed away from YouTube. I knew that I would be such a train wreck if I came on every day feeling the way that I was and just like going on and on and on angrily and emotionally and crying, and instead of having my thoughts more together. At least here I'm being lucid and not just like crying and shit. Look at them, they're all like entwined. So thanks for understanding. Thanks for not judging me, which I would appreciate. Guys, please be nice. And thanks for listening. I know I'm really like a boring, cranky old person, but that's a little snapshot into Gigi's life these days. There's still things I'm happy about and grateful for. I still have a sense of humor. I I also was very, very surprised and pleased by the fact that I read one of my recent poems to my ex when I was over there, and like he humored me. Because normally he doesn't really share my interest in poetry. He knows I write it, but like I don't really share it with him. And I said, hey, I just posted one of my poems on my writings page. You want to hear it? And he was like, kind of distracted and like, yeah, okay, lay it on me. He's just not into poetry. And I read it to him, and he like stopped and he was looking over my shoulder, and he's like, you wrote that? I go, yeah. He goes, that's a tour de force. And that's really a rave coming from him. He's pretty laconic. He's pretty reticent. He's not very forthcoming with praise. So that made me feel good. And my daughter told me that I write as well as Mary Oliver, who's one of the best poets that ever lived. So, that's kind of a secret about me a lot of people don't know. I know I've shared like one or two or three with you guys, but I have hundreds over the years, hundreds of poems written in all kinds of genres, and everything from love to lust to loss and longing and death and life and nature and animals and sex and erotic poetry and yeah, nature and relationships and just, I don't know. Mostly these days I write about the abstracts of nature and how it, like the metaphors and analogies of human beings, and um, just the importance of seeing big things in little things, you know, and not worrying about what people think too much. I'm not even keeping this in frame. I got laundry all over my floor. I'm just a mess. That's another thing about me, is that I don't consider myself a hoarder or a slob, but then again, maybe I'm just in denial. Um, when I get severely depressed, when my bipolar dips really low, my house really takes a beating. Like, I'll do the basics. Like, I'll take the garbage out. I'll do dishes. I'll make sure I shower. But, oh, and I clean the cat box. But, like, laundry and just tidying up and dealing with the piles of clutter and, clean laundry all over the surfaces and newspapers and magazines and mail and bills and just stuff like pouring off every surface. You guys who are my subscribers that are, declutterers or neat freaks would really freak out if you saw my place. If I was honest enough to like take you on a little mini tour of this place, which would be mini because it's this place is like a hobbit hole. If I said like, look how I actually live, like look what depression looks like, you might be shocked. You might either feel sorry for me or just be really disgusted and be like, that girl needs her shit together. Because it gets bad. It gets bad. When I'm on an upswing and almost a little hypomanic, which my neurologist has really wanted to address with me, I'll get a lot done. I put on music and some old clothes, and I try to consider it almost like a workout, and I get everything done. But I still wish I was better with like throwing things away and getting rid of stuff. I have a deep sentimental security attachment with objects and things, and especially books and CDs and magazines and catalogs. And I have a ton of jewelry, ton of makeup, ton of perfume, ton of shoes, handbags, way too many clothes than I could ever wear. But I know that's pretty common. I just don't seem to ever have the energy to do more than the basics. And I feel genuinely that it doesn't really matter because I live alone. And it doesn't bother me that much, My body's clean. I'm sleeping on clean sheets. My cats are very well loved and cared for, always well fed, as you can clearly see. And why does everything have to look like fucking Martha Stewart, My place is so tiny, and my porch is like super, super cluttered because it's my only storage in the whole place. I own like 2 tiny closets, and yeah, so man, wow, this video is 27 minutes long and it's really, really all over the place. I'm glad I checked in though and kind of caught you guys up. So now I'm going to go to sleep, and I work at a different location tomorrow, 2 to 10. So I'm happy I can sleep in the morning and hang out with my babies, whom I've sort of missed while I've been away at Steve's house, negotiating our possible future again together, which to some people seems like a no-brainer decision. And other people say, don't ever do it. Don't ever go backwards. So I'm sure you guys will give me your advice. I love you. Thanks for listening. Till next time, good night.